recorded in the pits of Detroit, Michigan. Your ass is listening to Radio Underground. Shit.
Okay, Radio Underground, we are here, and of course Kojak gets up and fucking right when I'm about to hit record like he always does.
As soon as you start recording.
As soon. We're going to pause the whole show.
He has no input on something video game related, which is shocking to me, but whatever.
Well, we can't hear you over here. Just shut up.
Hey, can you do something first for me? What month is this?
February.
February, oh yeah.
February.
Make that point again. What was it?
So, yeah, I was just saying it's almost
Golden Globes.
impossible to properly pronounce the word February without
February.
sounding like
Except you're
a
missing
slightly
an R.
drunk Harrison
It's
Ford, like a
February.
similar, at least a little bit similar to Harrison Ford at the Golden Globes. The
Right.
Golden he pronounced it. You know,
I'm
because
slightly
everybody
drunk.
says February,
Yeah.
and that sounds normal to us.
Yes.
But it's not February. It's February. But
I won't even bother trying to say
Right,
it the way
so
ever.
February.
it's very difficult if you don't have a super articulate tongue to say February.
I struggle with literally.
Literally.
I can say it the British way. Literally. Literally. But I can't say it. I can't say it our way.
You know what else they say weird is Jaguar. They're like
Jaguar.
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 All right, this is Radio Underground. I'm your humble host, Lord Despot. With me, as always, is Pine. Say hello.
Hello.
Stones Malone. Say hello.
Yeah.
And Kojak.
I refuse.
It's just in case.
I resist.
I never really properly present you guys, so people who don't know us are going to have no fucking.
Oh, we know. We've texted amongst ourselves about how terrible of a
Yeah,
host you are.
my fans usually know the difference between all of us. So
Yeah.
You mean your family who knows all of us?
my wife hasn't listened to a word of this.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably for the better. That's probably for the
Same
better.
thing for Kate as well. Hey, so when you go out to go smoke your cigarette, when you come back in, would you bring me a beer, please?
Absolutely. Where your beers at?
They're sitting right outside.
Absolutely.
You can even take one if you want, since Bry Pie is Pine
Bry
Brian
Pie.
is so kind as to have brought me.
Hi,
Is that like
heavily-
a title?
Hey,
Bry
Brian.
Pie? Like a senpai?
Bright tie. No, it's my own form of martial arts. It's bright tie.
Listen, Stones, I'm the only one that's allowed to fuck up. You stop it
I
right
fucked
now.
up plenty last week.
It's
all
fine.
Nerd
It's
flirts.
okay. I just like how the whole time I went on my rant, which I was going berserk the whole time. You're going, hey Morgan, and you're eating the mic. I'm like, it was like totally negated my awesome rant. That was great.
I know.
So
I
no-
I
like,
actually texted you. I'm like, I can't believe how loud I was.
And you were sitting there talking the whole time, like, okay, you ruined it. My whole rant was totally negated because you weren't. But
You
whatever.
can't put
I'm
me
just
and
gonna go get that
Morgoth
beer right now
on the
because-
same microphone.
Yeah, you'd be better off getting a beer yourself.
If you put me and Morgoth in the same argument, y'all better just shut up and let us go.
All right, something's going on your phone. No. All right, so Xbox Live is coming to Switch. What does that mean? I don't know, but I guess a good point of it is that crossplay is inevitable. We're getting it. It's happening.
Yeah. It's
I had
not
studied
just
this
Switch,
in
but
depth.
iOS and Android, and it's already on PC a little bit.
Yeah, and it's
I mean,
I think
cross-platform, not Xbox Live.
Xbox Live will be available, they say, on 2 billion devices.
Billion with a B.
2 billion.
Yep.
So Xbox, even though they're going to make more consoles and stuff, it kind of seems like they're going to the web and they're not like the cloud, and they're really not going to fuck around with
Well,
hardware. I don't see.
from what I read, the chairman even said that he can sell you a console, but the product is really the connectivity with other platforms, other people.
Right.
You know, your friends might be playing Smash Brothers, and you might be playing something on Xbox. What's Call of Duty or something? I don't know. What's a game that people play on Xbox now? Red Dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's basically on every platform, but I mean Gears or whatever
Yeah,
the fuck.
But you can still fuck around with your friends playing Smash Brothers over on the Switch.
Right.
So it sounds pretty
Well,
awesome.
to me, it's like they're picking up. They're taking. Obviously, it makes sense. I mean, you look at Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video. Like this is what the future is. Like there isn't a Netflix box.
No.
There isn't a Hulu box. It's not a console.
The software is the product.
That's the demand. People are buying fewer and fewer Blu-rays, physical copies, which is a debate that you and Kojak got into last week.
And now it's going to streaming. It's next
Right.
to the next to the next.
Yep.
And the I listened to a tech guy talking about it, and he hates Microsoft as a company. He doesn't like them, but he said they're the only people that have thought this out full through. Like, we're going to be the Netflix of games. We're doing it. This is what everybody wants. This is what we're doing. Everybody else can do what the hell they. Then they're the only people, the only company that's 100% ready for this phase.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And they're gonna. The Game Pass is gonna be. You're gonna be able to do it on your phone. That's what's happening.
yeah.
So all your games, everything, you're going to be doing it on your phone. Maybe not immediately, but in the next 5 years or so, you will be able to do all that.
I think to me, they know that their strong suit is the Xbox Live. It's
the service, not
the service.
hardware.
Exactly, and it's better than any other online community on any other console, without a doubt.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And I watched a PlayStation 4 guy, a PlayStation fan guy talking about. He goes, because we got to admit, he goes, our live, our on the line service is not as good as theirs. It just isn't. And
It never has been.
No,
And he goes, so they're just going a separate way. But even though I joke around and I favor the Xbox brand, but the reality is PlayStation will still be viable just how, Nintendo's viable because they have their own art. They have their own studios. You have to have a PlayStation to play their art.
Well,
so you're going to need it.
Well, touching back on a subject from last week with the backwards compatibility of the PS5, does this help combat that a little bit, you think? Does this help them out?
Well, I'm almost wondering if, what does the future look like? Do we see Nintendo continuing to develop products like the Switch? And, like I talked about a couple weeks ago, that Nintendo's always been the more innovative and kind of outside the box of the big three, if you want to call Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft the big three, which I'd say is a safe, safe to say. And then, Sony could just completely gobble up there would, if we see Microsoft basically make the transition from a console, developing this console, which is not, it's Microsoft. So the Xbox was never their primary, they're a software company. You know what I mean? It's not, they're not only known for a console. Obviously, Sony isn't only known for a console, but we might see, I'm wondering if we could see that Sony basically just gobble up the console market and Microsoft just take their Xbox service and exist solely as that, to where you could be playing Xbox games on a Sony PlayStation 5 or 6 or whatever,
I don't know. The two companies are at odds to a point where
For now.
But
eventually
it is absolutely
money talks.
100% inevitable, and it is stupid to do it any other way. All if you say someone like a Bethesda or a Rockstar, or these multi-plat developers, you got to be able to play with all your buddies everywhere,
no matter what
it's
console
time.
they're on. Yeah,
They say that they actually the way they keep them out. It's like a thing you got to put in so they can't. It's like easier to just let people do it.
Yep.
So it's the time's long over. If you have an Xbox, you should be able to play your multi-plats with your buddies on
Absolutely.
PlayStation or the Switch, and then you're still going to get your exclusives. That's what will sell your hardware.
Yep.
If you like your Last of Us, you got to get a PlayStation, right? You have to. And if you want to play your Gears, you got to get either a PC or a Xbox.
Well, I think what Stone said a few minutes ago too about Microsoft. This is a very small. The consoles are a very small portion of their, what they make money on. Mm-hmm. So the software
Kojak
has always
is
been a strong
absolutely
suit, and
freezing to
software
death right
will
now.
continue to be. So
It's fucking
Xbox
shaking.
Live, as its own standalone software,
Withdrawals.
makes the most sense of anything to me.
Are you going from speaking withdrawals? You can't go that long without speaking. It's fucking shaking.
What kind of cigarettes do you smoke out there?
It was laced with something. I don't know.
I think it was crack.
Crack.
151% of my time. Now, I know none of you know what that means. Most of the people out there know exactly what I just said.
Was it a narcotics reference?
What?
We're clean and we're good boys, and I don't know what you're talking about.
I took some ibuprofen earlier.
I just purchased my 4th Rip It for the day. For after I get done drinking my
glad
alcohol.
Your left ventricle's having trouble.
Glad your
out
heart's
here,
doing
dude.
well.
Yeah.
It's going to
many
hold
kidney
up.
stones?
Well, you know,
Yeah.
I read somewhere that they only actually Rip Its only have about 100 milligrams of caffeine.
That's not bad.
Whereas, like, you know, Red Bulls and like what's like the other like
Monster.
Monsters, they have like 250 to 300 milligrams of caffeine.
I don't think the
for-
caffeine's the problem. I think it's the sugar.
It's
sugar.
it's-
I mean,
yeah.
I mean that's.
Well,
I mean, it's all of it.
a cup of coffee, like a regular cup of coffee, is 150 to 200.
Is it black?
So, yeah,
It's
yeah.
keep on drinking them. They're going to call you kidney stones.
Right?
Malone.
Yeah. No shit. That's the thing that I'm scared of. You know what's funny though? Here's
Finally,
a
it
fun
works.
fact about Rip It. I was thinking about this. I don't think I would be willing to bet money that I consume more Rip It F-bombs than anyone in the world. Anyone alive. I will guarantee, and it's not something
Well,
that I'm proud of at all.
There's a guy named Fisticles that might keep up with you.
How many did you drink
Yeah,
today?
Dylan drinks a
Well,
lot
I
of those.
just purchased my 4th in a day.
You have literally drank 400% more than me than I ever have in my whole life just today.
Yeah. So
I hate energy liquids.
I used to love them, but
I
not
don't
Rip It.
like regular pop anymore. And it's the thing about Rip Its is they're a $1.09 a can.
It's cheaper.
So it's not like, you know, Red Bull where it's like $5 for a fucking little 12-ounce can. You get like, you know, 16 ounces for $1, and they're made by the parent company of Faygo, actually, which is why they're so.
I didn't
cheap.
know that. So you're supporting the
They're
local
the
economy.
Yeah, they're the ghetto energy drink.
remember Rip
Broke
Hamilton
fucks.
was there.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Rip.
I forgot about Rip.
Yeah, and he
prefer
never got
energy.
tired either, so he's like the perfect guy for them to like plaster up there. Here, you can be like Rip if you drink our drink.
I
completely
prefer
forgot
energy
about that.
powders over energy drinks.
Here's another fun fact, by the way.
Yeah, the kind that you snort.
For anyone who's not
Whoa,
familiar or isn't in the know, and I know that we've totally jumped the rails from the original.
He said
topic.
rails.
didn't
He
you?
said rails.
All right, we're getting right up Kojak's lane.
Hey,
here,
what
over
are you
and over.
saying, Stones? What about rails, man?
Rails.
What do you got?
We always hit a bump in the road though when we're talking about stuff.
I don't want to go down this road.
Okay, let's not.
Anyway, so if you ever notice when you if you go to your local gas station or liquor store or 7-Eleven or whatever the fuck, and you look for if they do carry Rip It, and you look, you might see like a bunch of different flavors with like military themes. Like there's camouflage. It's like Rip
Yeah.
It tribute or whatever. And I always wonder what the fuck was up with that. And I guess that is like the number one drink of the military. I was unaware of that until
You are
recently.
100% right because we actually know a guy.
Yeah.
His name's Fisticles.
Okay, that's the guy that could give me the run. That's pretty much what they drink exclusively.
He's a Marine. He just
Yeah.
got out, and he doesn't just have a drink here and there. That's breakfast, lunch, dinner,
Yeah.
conversation piece, bathroom, wash his hands in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Dave.
you need to get this guy in on one of these, and he and I can talk about our favorite. Actually, I only like one of them.
Well, he games with us quite a bit.
Literally like an hour ago when I walked in, they were gaming with him.
We could literally call him right now, and you guys can argue about who drinks more.
Dylan.
Yeah, we'll see who passes the
Dylon.
bigger kidney
Which one
stone
do you like?
first.
The Rip It what?
F-bomb. It's the best one, and it's the first one to sell out everywhere. Like
He would
when I go
argue
to
that.
7-Eleven, and I'm probably the one who's selling them out of them. If you go anywhere around here and you see that they're out of Rip It F-bombs, it's probably because of
I
me.
remember when they were 99 cents because that's when I drank them.
Inflation, man.
I don't remember them being
Malone?
99
They were
cents.
99
yeah.
Venom is 99 cents.
No, Rip Its were 99 cents. No joke.
Yeah,
I remember them.
that.
I say this in all honesty, Malone. I think you will have bigger problems than me, and you like the liquid energy, and I like the powder energy, and I think you're.
I know. No, I think about that regularly. Like people talk about drug addicts and shit. Like, and I'm like, dude, I'm hopelessly addicted to this.
I
shit.
think you are in
And,
more danger than I am.
We'll see. I mean, I'm like a cockroach, though, man. I can eat shit and take horrible care of myself.
I know the
And every
feeling.
time
you
I have
haven't,
been,
you haven't got fat or anything.
No, well, I mean, who knows what my insides actually look like? But outwardly,
They're just eating themselves away. That's why it's not getting fat.
I mean, I smoke like a chimney, and I've never had a problem with my. Every time I've blown into like those little, at the doctors where you get the thing when you blow the ping
asthma
pong
thing,
ball,
yeah.
I blow that shit through the fucking top. Well, now I can't run for shit because I'm kind of out of shape, but.
It's just-
I
it's just
do
your
all right for
insides
as
eating themselves
considering the
up.
horrible care I take of myself. I do all right.
Kojak here goes to the emergency room like twice a month.
Hey, I had lettuce today. I had power greens today. I'm good for another.
Yeah, you actually ate healthy.
I did. I had blueberries, almonds, and power greens.
I remember
I'm good for
I had
like a
meatloaf
year.
and mashed potatoes and green beans.
my doctor got on to me about my weight and then she looked at my blood. The
Pressure?
no, not the blood pressure, the blood like levels.
Expectancy?
Oh,
The blood work.
Yeah, like with your
And
A1Cs
and she's
and
like,
stuff like that.
Everything's fine. I don't know how. She's like, everything.
She looks at you. She looks at the
That's
chart.
like,
She looks at
everything's
you.
fine.
She looks back at the chart. She's like, "This isn't real. There's no
The
way."
most embarrassing question I have to answer is like,
Pull down your pants.
Are you sexually active? I'm like,
Turn your head and cough.
Are my sexually active? No, we don't have to go down that road. No, I don't. Do we?
Are you sexually active?
And she looked at me real weird. Like,
Shut up.
you don't
bitch.
need to check anything.
Who wants
up.
to know?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Oh, she's
Or are you
definitely not.
asking me?
She's like a robot. That chick doesn't. I don't think she feels anything for anyone.
I remember the last time
Just
I
It
was
could be
at
Tom
the
Hardy.
doctor.
She doesn't
Just
care.
because you were with her and she didn't feel anything doesn't mean anything.
The last time I was at the doctor, which was the first time in so many years I can't even remember. And I can't even remember when this was. It had to be at least 6-7 years ago. And I had to get my balls checked and all that. And that was the first time I ever recall having my balls checked. It's certainly the first time a female had ever touched anything in my nether regions outside of someone who I was actually
God.
fucking. And it was the most uncomfortable and awkward experience. And
It's-
I don't ever want to do it again.
I'm telling you, I had the same thing happen. Now, I don't know if it's a guy thing or if this is like a natural thing. How many of you have ever had a woman do your fucking turn your head and cough, that kind of shit?
a few times.
Yeah.
Because I got
So me too.
to go once a year for my DOT.
So I was trying to fluff up myself. I'm like,
Of course, you
I know
gotta fluff.
I know she's coming in here. I got to fluff. And the second she walked in, bam, eject. We're right back in. You're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Why are you embarrassing me right now?
Well, the
Turtle
doctor
up
that I
and went
had
in and went back
asked
in.
When
if
you said
I-
ejection, I thought you meant.
Yeah.
Not ejaculation, but I'm like, eject, get the fuck out
That
of
would
here.
be pretty embarrassing.
I remember the
She
doctor
touched it.
that I saw. I mean, it was like a 50-something-year-old. She wasn't MILF,
Oh.
nothing like that. But she asked me, "Would you be more comfortable with a man coming in here? Because I can request one of them." I'm like, no.
I did the same thing.
Why would that be better?
My whole thing is just to get it over with and get out.
I
The
swear-
less
yeah.
people that see my dick, the better. I don't want any extra person in there.
I swear to pretend Jesus, that chick was a 24-year-old hottie that just started, and she's like, "Hey, drop your pants." I'm like, "Motherfucker!"
All right, now I get why you
Do
want
you have the fantasy? Like, I want to check your temperature with my mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went down. And she was videotaping the whole time.
Phone's
Yeah.
ringing.
Well, here's what happened to me. It's pretty embarrassing. Well, this is when I had a male doctor, and he was like, I got a couple students that I'm working with, and I'm just doing work with them in like a internship or whatever, where they have them come in. And do you mind if I have them come in and observe your examination? I was like, no, that's fine. I'm expecting a couple dudes to come in. Nope. 2 girls. One was normal
At the
looking, but the
same
other was
time.
like really fucking hot. And I got to take my clothes off, and I'm like,
I got so many stupid jokes for this.
I totally pussed out. I'm like, I'm not comfortable.
You did it. You did it.
I'm not comfortable at all. I'm not good.
Wow.
I totally bitched out. On my
I went for
pretty
the silver or the bronze. Like, all right, go ahead, whatever.
I've had the concentra chicks at the the clinic check me, and that's totally fine because that's like real quick. But like 2 pretty hot chicks, and then I got to do a full examination, lay there for an hour, and on my side, and they're checking. I don't know.
Let me
dude.
ask you guys this:
I can't handle
They
it.
got to roll you around.
They could roll me around like a fucking
Have any of
Beached
you
whale.
guys
a fat thing. I can't think of an
A
analogy.
beached whale.
A beach
There,
whale.
that's it.
Have any of you guys in your youth, in your formative teenage years, had any experience with orthodontists, braces, anything like that?
Is that them Jews that wear that thing on their head?
No, not Orthodox Jews. Orthodontists.
No, well, I don't know. Regular dentist pulls your wisdom. Like, I had that wisdom tooth pulled, but it wasn't surgery. It was one
Okay.
tooth.
So I had braces when I was about between ages of 14 and 16. And
checked your
obviously
nuts?
that's the year that's where basically you're at your pro level of jerking off and like discovering porn and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
The
Oh,
14
whoa.
to 16-year-old males, I think we could are the most sexually frustrated outside of middle-aged males. You kind of come full circle,
Yeah,
right?
Stones.
You know?
Yeah, let's back that up a little bit. I'm at my peak of masturbation right now.
Well,
he said middle aged.
What I'm saying, when you're 14, look, and I know there are some players out there when some people, oh man, I was banging chicks when I was 12, but I'm like, I wasn't.
The majority
I'm not
of people.
him.
So yeah, I remember that was the one thing that I loved about the orthodontist was, this dude the actual orthodontist comes in for 30 seconds, shines a flashlight in your mouth, and goes, "Oh, okay, buddy, thanks." But the people that are actually working on your fucking mouth are the chicks.
Yeah.
And there was like some 26-year-old chick that would always like. I'd be laying back in the chair, and
She'd
she'd
brush
be
an
like,
elbow on your dick.
not elbow. Tits would always be touching the back
Oh,
of my
yeah,
head
the
because
old
she was like
titty
working
head
around.
rub.
And I remember that was like the greatest thing.
You know what? I'll have to
That
ask,
was like that. I consider that my first sexual experience.
I'll have to ask my son because we just went through that. He just had him for the last 2 years and got him taken off.
Yeah.
That'll be when he's older. I'll be like, hey, was that? You know.
It was more than taking off. It was getting off.
But you're right. Like I went in there and the orthodontist, they're like, you gotta check out the things. It'll take a little while. I'm like, I'll just sit out here, read or watch TV. Orthodontist walked in, he's like, "Yep, it's good," and walked out the door.
Yeah, the doctor never does shit. Like
No.
when you go to the hospital, it's the nurse, it's the RN,
Whoa,
it's the
whoa.
assistants. The doctor always comes up. Yep, how are you doing, buddy? Okay, I'm gonna ask you.
Charts
these
look
questions.
good.
Hey, hey,
Was that
hey.
just me?
what?
The doctor didn't do what?
Doctor doesn't do shit.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It's
Carry
all,
on.
yeah, it's everybody else around him, and he just takes that
I've always
information
suspected
and makes a
though,
prognosis.
That I don't
That's
care
what
if it's like
doctors do.
hairdressers, orthodontists, RNs, all that. I think the tits touching you is totally unnecessary. I think they just do it. I really do.
Yeah, this like 14.
They all secretly want you, is what it is.
Yeah, it's like because it just seems like I got a big old fat stomach. Okay, it sticks way out. It doesn't touch people. I don't when I help people and I don't touch like these fucking orthodontists, the hairdressers. Their tits are all on your head and everything is like. This is totally unnecessary. You could back up a little bit. I don't want you to, but you could.
Following that point, I go to a local mall for the Chinaman to get a back massage every now and again. The acupuncture back massage.
yeah,
It's strange how his pecker keeps happening to rub it against my
All right,
arm.
why did you go back more than once? First of all, acupuncture's horse shit. Second of all,
It wasn't
when
the
dude's
actual
dick
needles.
touches me once, I'm not going back.
Got
Yeah.
you a little Chinese.
It's not a
fuckboy.
dude, it's a
after
Chinaman.
6 or 7 times, I felt offended, and I left.
Well, actually, there's an old man that's
They
been
need
cutting
tips,
hair
too.
in our community
Yeah,
for many years, and those nuts sit right on your shoulder, guaranteed.
he's 90 years
We all
old.
know
They
who the
hang
hell he
really
is.
low.
Yep. And that motherfucker, and I'm telling you, and your brother, Craig, has spoke many times about it, and we all agree that those nuts sit on. Like, what is he doing? You just accept it because back then, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, whatever. You're getting your hair cut.
In the
I mean,
50s,
I don't know what you're talking
in
about
the 50s,
anymore.
molestation was tolerated. I guess I don't know. Just the way it was.
No, it's a gamble. It's like rolling dice at the casino. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I crapped out, or sometimes you hit, and you might be like, "Hey, what's up?" That's what they do. Can you blame them?
Well,
But
I
at their
think-
age, they're not apping it up trying to find dates. They're going to rub nuts on you while they're cutting their hair.
it's the same thing with the waitresses, the tits touching. It's like I know what you're doing, and you're still getting a tip because I know what you're doing, and I do appreciate it.
I've never had a waitress's tits touch me.
No, I've had the waitress tits on me many times.
Oh, yeah.
You don't look desperate enough. That's your problem.
Where are
You
you,
gotta look
guys
desperate.
going that you're getting waitresses touching their tits? on
Everywhere.
you?
Their tits
Everywhere.
You've never had the tit touch, seriously?
No. Not
They're,
at all.
they're
Not at a
unnecessarily
You know
put their
what?
tits
I
on
think
you.
Malone's has had it, but he just doesn't realize he had it.
I think I would know.
He denies it.
I think I would know if a waitress at a restaurant.
Wants to hand you an extra straw to your buddy sitting on the other side of the table. She doesn't put it down at the end of the
you know
table
what? Maybe,
and says,
all right,
pass
let
it.
me just back up a little bit. There was a time in my life where, when I was younger, I was like a super burnout. So maybe my short-term memory at the time had been fried to where when I'm hanging out at Denny's at like 2 a.m. with my buddies, that
That's
may
no
have
excuse.
happened.
I'm not talking about a restaurant. I'm talking usually a bar.
Oh no!
Oh,
I don't go to bars.
The waitress-
Like,
I don't think
went to the
that-
same spot. I'm thinking like
the-
Denny's or something.
The,
like
the
that.
hot
They're talking
19-year-old
about
girls
bars.
that
You're
are
talking
at
about-
like
yeah,
that are
all
at
right,
like
that-
Logan's
di-
Steakhouse are
different
not
story.
titting you up.
Yeah,
They're not
Okay.
titting you up.
Right? No, I get you now. You're talking
But
about
like if you go to especially like a dive bar,
skank houses. And
yeah, you go to a dive bar, you're getting titted up. It's
Okay.
guaranteed.
Then
All right,
yeah,
I
I guess
got you now.
probably has happened a few
I don't.
times.
I still don't think that's ever happened to me. I've been plenty of dives, but most of the dives that I go to are real dives with like old, haggard, fucking toothless people and shit, like mutants.
Yeah, I go to
coming out of
those
the corner
places
to
so I
sit
can
in
be
your
good
drink.
looking for a change.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, weird female behavior, which what we're describing now. We're going to lead into this next topic, which is why are women obsessed with serial killers? This Jeffrey Dahmer thing.
That's a
So the whole not Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. The Ted Bundy Netflix thing.
Yes.
They got Zac Efron playing him too. That's coming out, but
Yeah.
they got the documentary part right now.
The
It's like
Ted Bundy tapes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And girls are all into him again, and they were back in the 80s, just like they were into Richard Ramirez. Remember that guy, El Diablo?
Yep.
He got marriage proposals. Prisoners regularly get marriage proposals. And
All
we're
the
not
time.
talking about ugly girls either, like some decent girls.
Yeah.
And
Who's the one up there?
what is the psychology of this, guys?
Are you
What's wrong with
saying-
these crazy... I'm not going to be
girls-
misogynist. What's wrong with these crazy women?
Are you saying girls like danger?
like bad
Until
boys?
actual danger?
Yeah, it seems that way.
It's an
I've
actual.
never heard of it.
It's
Wait a
an
minute.
actual
So
condition.
good guys
There's a
finish last? Is
psychological
that what you're
term for it.
saying?
There is.
Good guys don't finish at all.
First of all, I'm interested. I'm intrigued as what Pine has to say here, but let me just put this out there: no one was ever trying to get the dick of John Wayne Gacy.
No.
Okay,
No.
it's only Richard Ramirez, Ted Bundy, the hot ones, right? That being said, Pine, what were you going to say?
Hybristophilia. That's what it's called.
What is that?
That's the condition that women, or actually anybody, is attracted to their partner because they did commit a crime of a vicious nature.
Okay, say that again.
Hybristophilia.
All right.
Do you think that stems from like we're cave people and like the guy that would club someone in the head for no fucking reason?
Maybe.
He's like they wanted to fuck him because he's like the top guy.
It seems there seems to be
it's
some
that-
kind of correlation between it and also people who are into a lot of BDSM, sadomasochism type stuff. It's the same.
Oh, Ted Bundy will bring that shit.
But
to
what
you.
Yeah.
you're saying, what you're saying,
so
Lord
it's just
Nesbitt,
it's just
Sodomize
a,
you when you're
it's
dead.
a branch of the same tree, basically. It's weird, but it's
yeah.
what turns them
I think
on.
it-
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's like the strongman mentality, because most serial killers hide. They hide in plain sight, hide in normal lives, that kind of stuff. So I don't know if it's a strongman mentality. Maybe when it's public and on a book or on a series, they like, oh, this is dangerous. And I think the old saying for it was grass is greener. Because grass is greener meant for women for the most part. Most girls always try to find something better, something more exciting, whatever, and it turned into
Oh, your adrenaline's going to be up.
Yeah.
Struggling to follow your logic.
What do you mean?
here.
I think
in
what
a
he's trying to
fucking
say is like you have something
1985
here, but the
Camaro.
excitement level it gives you a new level of excitement.
well, you got to say Camaro.
I don't know what grass is greener has to do with it, but
What are you trying to say?
I think he's saying that it's an adrenaline thing. They might be happily with regular
Brush
men.
with danger, and
Yeah.
just
Okay,
like bungee jumping or skydiving, there's that
There-
element of excitement that comes
Yeah.
with the fear that you might get
There-
fucking killed.
That's true. And
Yes.
there was a
well, with the
scientific
serial killers,
study.
you get killed after fucking. So instead of fucking killed.
There was a scientific study done in the early 90s, okay?
Yeah.
Out in the West Coast, out in Compton. And they came up with this theory that bitches be hoes.
Oh yes.
Oh,
And that's
be
my
bitches.
theory why these crazy bitches like people that kill them.
Well,
All right? Like,
look at
what the
guys
fuck is wrong with you? They kill people.
to
Okay?
the core, guys and women, guys.
Ted Bundy killed people and sodomized them.
Their excitement is a
Stop wanting him.
Their
He
excitement.
sodomized their dead body.
Necrophilia.
Their guys' excitements are like
Crazy ass bitches.
a hot young secretary. A fucking, guys' excitement are young, hot young girls, whatever. Girls'
body shame
excitement
if you're
are
dead.
danger.
Yeah.
You know what's exciting? What's out of my normal life? Guys just want to fuck.
No.
Girls want to like climb mountains and be thrown off of them and fuck when they hit the bottom.
It's been our entire life, or everybody's entire life. Girls like bad boys for some reason. It's always been like a thing.
they like to be fucking abused.
They like bad boys.
We have the
I don't know if
scientific
all of them
side
like
of
to be
the
abused.
Yeah, not all of them. This
We
ain't
have
a
the
blanket
scientific
statement.
intellectual side of the room than me and you. They're crazy. They're crazy.
Let's just make a statement.
We're all emotion.
Let's do a
Like, we're all-
disclaimer before we go any further. This is not a blanket statement for every girl.
Yeah.
But those girls that want that, this is the discussion meant for them because it's fucking insane.
See, yeah, and it does happen with men too. There's men who chase the serial killer women. It's just a very small population of men.
Well, there's a very small pool of serial killer women
yeah.
to chase.
Well,
Yes.
dudes like crazy women too. There's a song called "Crazy Bitch."
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's someone we know. I won't say who he is, but someone here knows him, and he doesn't like girls unless they're a little bit crazy. Not you.
I know
Someone
exactly
you-
who you're talking
no,
about. I was
someone
having
you
a
know.
conversation about him earlier with
I'm not
the
talking.
wife.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking.
I know
about,
that.
But
I kind of want to know who it is now.
but
We'll talk about it off the air.
like a stable woman does nothing for this guy. Nothing.
Really?
Not a thing.
She could be a knockout 10, supermodel gorgeous, but if she's into bacon cookies and fucking like normal, wholesome shit, fuck it. I don't
Wow.
want nothing to do with it. And he has been with women like that.
Stones.
Like,
Who is this guy? We got to go hang out sometime.
we're gonna talk off the air. I
Yeah.
don't want to put this
Don't
guy
wanna name
out
any
there
names.
on
He's gonna put
blast.
him on blast like we do.
But
You name dropping, bitch.
it's just weird why, like Ted Bundy got married while he's in prison. Somebody actually
Yeah.
married him after he was convicted of all these heinous crimes. It wasn't like, oh, I'm guilty. I'm not guilty, baby. Don't worry about it. And she like, okay, I'll marry you. It was like he was convicted. He was on death row, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to marry you now.
Yeah, he was one of the ones that still always kind of denied what he did. He never he admitted it, but he never like the other guys like, yeah, I did it. I killed 15 people. I stuffed them down. Like Dahmer basically gave out the roadmap of what he did. Here's
Yeah.
the blueprints. Yeah, I took a drill bit and stuck it in this guy's fucking head and blah blah. Here's a funny thing though. Like being considered a racist is so bad that Dahmer, because he lived in a black neighborhood, he goes, "I didn't kill him because I'm black. I'm not they were black. I'm not a racist." So even Dahmer had to disclaim, "Hey man,
He
I
admitted-
killed and ate these guys, but I'm no racist."
Right. That's funny too, because that's actually you would have to mount that in today's society. That would be like the number one thing. Like, yeah, man, did you hear about that asshole? What a jerk! He murdered all those people. Oh, did you hear he doesn't like black people? Oh, what an evil scum! Electrocute
Yeah,
him.
that's
Like,
the worst thing.
It's the worst thing you can be. You can be. There's no
Well,
worse
Jeff
thing you
wasn't
can
so
be.
bad. He only killed black people because that's what he's around. He would have killed white people just the same. Right. He'd have ate up a white guy just the same. It wouldn't have been a big deal.
So my thing is, and you know, because I made a little video about this earlier, because when you put out there on Facebook that this is one of the topics we were going to be talking about, I was like, this is interesting, and I try to gather my thoughts, and a lot of times just the same thing I do for YouTube is I'll like shoot a little quick stupid video to get my own thoughts on it, right? And because this is something that I think is interesting, but I haven't spent a lot of time like researching or thinking about. But to me, you were talking about the women being attracted to bad boys, women being attracted to danger,
Cannibals.
So
Yeah.
my thing is, I think that people, society, all of us, it's not just women that are watching these Ted Bundy Netflix thing. People are interested in horror movies, faces of death, car accidents, animals attacking
Cartel
people on
murders.
YouTube, horrible, scary, horrific things.
Sure.
Because
Documentary reality.
there's
Name
something
drop.
that we find fascinating about it. I think if anybody's familiar with like the psychologist Carl Jung. Do you know who
Oh,
that
yeah.
is?
I
Yeah,
know
it
who
looks
he
like
is.
Joan, but it's young.
He talks about the integration of the shadow self. It's like the Jekyll Hyde thing. Within each of us exists this suppressed personality that we're feeding when we watch Faces of Death, when we gawk at a car crash, when we really get into a horror movie. Serial killers are the ultimate manifestation of that. It's I think Stephen King calls it feeding the alligators.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
believe
So that's something that we can all relate to, with women in particular, because serial killers are predominantly male, right?
Yeah.
Women happen to be romantically drawn to the Richard Ramirez, Ted Bundys of the world, because they're fucking good-looking guys.
Bianchi
who
was
have-
another one like that.
So I have a theory that just like you've got your Ted Nugents of the world, or anybody that you might know in Michigan that's a big hunter, men like to fight, they like to hunt, they like watching sports, playing sports. We appreciate battle, hunting, violence, conquering.
I watch a show where basically like sports is just war and hunting simulations. That's all it is.
But we're
psychologically, that's all we
exercising-
see it as.
We're exercising all these macho, masculine things, right? That's our idea. We were talking about conquering and shit a couple weeks ago. So when you've got the idea, donkey conquers. So when you've got a hunter out there looking at a 12-point buck, putting him in his sights, thinking of how great it's going to feel to fucking get that kill and mount that fucking beautiful head on the wall. A woman, because women are more interested in people than things, whereas men are more interested in things than people.
I like stuff.
That's a fact.
Are looking at this guy, this tortured soul, this person who's like, outcast of society, and it's driven him to madness. I want to conquer this thing. I want to get inside his head and understand. He's misunderstood. He had a fucked up childhood. I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna relate to this person. I'm gonna fix him.
Yeah.
I think it's way more
That-
simpler than that.
I think it's pretty simple
You have to
actually.
do more before simpler.
It's that, and that's one of the main points of declaring somebody has
you.
hyper
Just hit me. Just
I
hit
hate
me.
you.
hyperstophilia.
Hit me in the face.
can't even punch you
it
in the
isn't
ribs,
a
you
need
won't
to
feel it.
fix them to communicate
through a
with
lot
them
of
because
blood
no one
to get
else
to
will.
them.
It's the maternal nurturing aspect of it that women have.
Sure,
Now,
absolutely.
everything you said completely makes sense. There's nothing you had said that didn't make any sense. But realistically, as we grow up, women and men,
Okay, now the barbarians, we get our take.
yeah,
The liberals have had their chance. Now let us talk about how things really is.
no, it's real simple. Usually, through society, women do not get the opportunity to do a lot of stuff. They're put in a certain shell, which they are, to like princesses or be a girlfriend, be a prom date.
Are you
be
saying
this,
women
be
are
that.
discriminated against?
I'm saying women have a role in this damn world, and they need to stay in that role.
Now you're reinforcing gender stereotypes.
Don't forget, they also make less money than you.
They don't need money. I'll make the money.
They don't
wash
need
the
money.
dishes.
They don't need friends. They don't need any of that shit.
That's
pick
why,
their
that's
friends.
why things like that excite them a lot, because they have spent usually cheerleaders. Let's just make simple example.
They're
Cheerleaders.
cheerleaders. They're making cookies. This is a great podcast.
Cheerleaders watch football players.
Sucking dick.
That's what-
doing what I say.
Generally through
Making
all the way
sandwiches.
from elementary, the girls stand on the sidelines where the guys are playing kickball and the girls are talking about the guys playing kickball. Who's picked first? Who's picked last? These are things I like to see. Then you go to junior high and they start getting into cheerleading or things like that and sports. And the girls are always on the sidelines watching the guys do all the shit. And the girls stand there and pick the guys they like, whatever. Then you get to high school, same thing.
I want
then
the guy
they're
with no
adults.
locks on the inside of his
Then
car.
they're adults. Most of them have their entire lives watching the guys do all the sports, all the wrestling, all the violent, exciting shit that they don't get to do, and they watch it. Now, there is at least 30% of these girls that want to do that. And they don't get to because that's just the nature of society. That's how it works. Then they become adults. Now, they're excited about all this shit. Now like what we said to begin with, this ain't every girl out there. It's a percentage of girls that like to watch the serial killers or get excited
The
about all
girls
that.
that come over to do blow with you.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Hey, wait. What?
There's girls there?
There-
No one told me that.
There's a reason.
I'm just being serious.
We don't invite
I'll let
married
you make
men.
your point. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'll shut up.
Points.
I think it's way more simpler. I mean, it's girls generally. It's not my fault. I didn't make these decisions, but there's a structure to society that we live in. They grow up watching boys do sports and all that while they sit there and talk about boys. Then you move them up a level to junior high. Then they're able to get in some sort of sport, which is cheerleading, things like that.
Girls
They
do
move
play
on to then they
basketball
move
and
on to
softball
dead
and
body
shit.
sodomy,
That
stuff like that.
that percentage of girls we're talking about go on to play basketball while the rest stand there. And at some point when they all become adults, things excite them more than they excite us because we're used to violence, sports, things like that. So we're
Like,
not.
things are the norm. They're used to a certain thing, the way things have progressed throughout their whole life, and now something completely different has come along, and it's exciting to them. Is basically what you're saying.
As an adult, you're usually not a
Yeah,
mass murderer
I
in
th-
fucking elementary
Yeah.
or junior high or high school.
So earlier I posted about
So the
why
stuff
are,
they've watched forever excites them still, but we've upgraded a level.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
no, I didn't mean to cut. I cut you off for
You
a change,
totally
which fucking
tried.
never
You
happens
just
'cause
kicked
you
me
usually cut
right
me
in
off.
my shit.
Yeah, it was weird.
Usually you cut me off.
It's the opposite of what usually happens.
Okay. So my thing is, why do male nerds love horror films and serial killers? Yeah, I know regular people. My dad's kind of a fix-it guy, normal male type dude, but he likes the serial killer thing too. But it seems like people that like go to all the horror conventions and that are really in it, It's these.
See,
I don't like to use the term alpha and beta male. We're not fucking animals. I don't think that applies. I really don't think that applies.
me on a
I would
personal
say
level,
I just say
theory.
these fucking
I'm not a
nerds.
big
Why
horror
are
movie
nerds
person.
into this shit? And I have my theory is I think nerds are really into fucking horror films and serial killers is because they're so absent from anything remotely violent that it's just intriguing.
That's
Like you don't see a guy that can bench press 500 pounds and that was like the captain of the football team and just like this badass or like we know a guy that went to Iraq and he did the shit for real. He killed people and
zero.
They don't give a fuck about Saw
Because
they don't.
Lord-
The people that
Lord,
actually do violence don't care about Saw. They don't care about horror films. They don't care about Bruce Campbell. They don't even know who his fucking name is.
Lord,
But it's always these nerds that know that shit because
that's-
it's something so removed. Why do you ever let me talk? You always cut me off. Shut the fuck up.
The guy that
You fucking can't help yourself. Let me talk. I let you talk for 20 minutes.
Then you cut me off.
And now his phone's interrupting you.
Then now your fucking phone's going. Go outside. Okay, go ahead. Talk.
That was great.
I swear, I let you talk for 10 minutes straight. I go to speak. You're like, right in my ear.
I was just saying that's the theory I was putting out there. Was,
Hey, my name's Mike. Hey! Shut up! Shut up!
Fine.
No, go, keep going, man.
My theory was, though, that now that my heart rate's going up real high, my chest is hurting. My point is, I just think nerds are just not, they don't live in that environment, and it's intriguing because they've not been there. That's my point.
Yeah, I think it's more because I'm not a horror person. I don't like. I've never seen a Saw movie. Not that I'm scared of it. It does not interest me whatsoever. The Halloween movies are good because they're more a cerebral thriller type thing, stuff like that. But anything that's overly horror like that, this is whatever. But like something like the Ted Bundy thing on Netflix is more of a glimpse kind of into his psyche. It's an intriguing thing. There's science to it. I think that's what would interest me.
And it's real.
And it's real. It's real life. But I think the nerds that watch those movies, it is for them. They have no power over anything. They like to watch it like, yeah, I could do that. It'd be bad.
Horror films stopped scaring me when I was 12.
Yeah.
But if you want to make a film that scares me, you want to make something that fucking scares me, make a film that simulates my fucking bank account overdrafting.
Yep. Oh my God.
I'll fucking
Or
have the music going, then my bank
checkout-
account like
the checkout line at the grocery store. You're swiping your card and you're like, oh my God, my card's not going to go through. This is going to suck.
I understand that there are people that watch those the same thing with like wrestling. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not shitting on the horror guys. I know guys like horror. If you like it from the perspective of somebody that likes, like I like pro wrestling.
Yeah.
I totally know the outcome staged. I totally know everything's a worked, whatever. But I appreciate the art of it, how they put it together. And I know that a lot of the guys that watch slasher films, they like how it's put together, right? They like the process and how it's all made.
Well, I think to me, it's something like the Saw movie where they're like they have to come up with these increasingly, more inventive ways of killing people in these movies. It's like cartel stuff. It does take brains. You got to figure, like, oh, this looks cool. I can appreciate that. It's just I don't care.
I think there's something within the human psyche when you talk about like nerds, right? And the fascination with horror movies, the fascination with the grotesque. And look, if I'm being honest, as much as it pains me to say it, because I'm a heavy metal, death metal aficionado or whatever, it is like the most violent, should be manliest music. But most of its fans are the weakest people alive.
Yeah,
and
very true.
And I think that when you look at serial killers, since we're on the subject of serial killers, Richard Ramirez, Ted Bundy, most of these guys, Jeffrey Dahmer, are not Brock Lesnar. They're not like fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're and I'm not saying they're like pussies necessarily.
They're not even a
killing
Brooklyn
women
brawler.
or they're killing young boys. They're not tough guys. They're not macho guys, they are all highly intelligent, all fascinated with human sexuality and anatomy. So there's some kind of link, I think, between, most serial killers were nerds or severely fucked up. Look at the Columbine kids. And I know that there's a difference between mass murderers and serial killers, and the Columbine kids were mass murderers rather than serial killers, but it's a similar thing.
There's
right?
still an aspect of
if-
planning
I
and
think
stuff
there's
like that.
something to weak people who cannot physically dominate anyone, particularly when you're a male. And when you talk about the alpha beta thing,
You listening, Kojak?
so I think there's something that feeds. It does something for them, just the same way in which they get off on like porn, right? You got this big titty. We talked about porn a couple weeks ago, and personally, for me, I can't jack off to anything that I can't wrap my head around realistically happening. So the chick can't be too hot. But there are some guys out there that can they want the biggest fucking tits and this unrealistic proportion because it's feeding some beast within them, and I think it's the same thing. Like people who are fascinated with serial killers, grotesque horror, stuff like that. They tend to be
Or people that can't hurt
weaker people.
They won't hurt anyone.
But they
basically.
couldn't gut a deer if that saved their fucking life.
Yeah.
A lot of them, and until you cross that threshold, which we have to say, I guess. Now, see, I'm kind of inebriated, so I'm kind of fucking backpedaling here because a lot of serial killers do start doing what? Torturing animals first. So they can very easily. I
Well,
shouldn't say they can't gut a deer because they could gut a puppy and feel
I guess
nothing.
harvesting livestock and animals and stuff. That's not like killing the squirrels because you're Jeffrey Dahmer. I think there's a process.
There
to
is
it.
something though that they're physically weak men
like Kojak.
tend to be drawn to these things because they can't really do it to, and then again they do it to women, they do it to victims who cannot physically defend themselves. It's not like Ted Bundy went out after it's not the Predator, right? We like the most macho guys like us, right? In this room, what do we love about the Predator? The movie Predator, right? You got this fucking group of over masculinized fucking soldiers that get hunted by this fucking alien fucking powerhouse who hunts these guys down because it's a big challenge, right? That type
He
of
picks
Predator.
the toughest guys he can
That's like a
pick.
warrior's honor thing, right? You don't kill the woman who's unarmed, right? I think most masculine men can respect that and appreciate. There's something that really we kind of identify with.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm some big tough masculine guy, but I'm not some scrawny little pussy either. So, and I think there's something kind of the contrary with weak, nerdy ass fucking who wouldn't mind fucking gutting a fucking chick just to see what exists inside and just to see if they could do it, if they could manipulate this girl. I don't know. I'm going off I won't say rails, but rails.
I don't understand. It's more the stuff that they would never do, but it's something they could do. They if there's some computer nerd sitting there, he's not physically imposing at all. He could be a serial killer. I know that sounds stupid, but you just need the mental capacity to do it.
Tactical ability.
Yeah, and he'd probably be better at that. He might not have the physical attributes, but he definitely has the mental attributes. And it's not that he's going to do it, but the Saw movie, stuff like that, it's more cerebral. It's something he could technically do. And I guess that's what excites people, is it's something that they would never want to do, but, that's what movies and stuff, media like that are for, is an escapist.
Well, I think it brings us right back to the beginning, how women feel a certain way about serial killers, and we're kind of confused about it. You have a society of guys. We're talking about our culture here in America. Mm-hmm. You have the serial killers are not the guys that were playing baseball, football, soccer, all this shit.
Not normally,
They're the
no.
guys on the sidelines. Same thing as the girls.
True.
But I see what you're saying. So now I see your comparison. These guys were with the girls on the sidelines because they weren't playing the sports, and they kind of envied.
And the girls wouldn't talk to them either.
Yeah.
They were standing there, and the girls
Okay.
envied the guys that were doing everything, all the exciting shit in high school, junior high. When your brains are being wired as kids.
Yeah.
They're watching all the exciting shit happen with the guys that are capable of doing this, the athletes. All the athletes, the popular kids, whatever, however you want to put it. You have a group of people that watch it on the sidelines, and then they become adults. Your serial killers are not the quarterback of the football team. They're not the defensive linemen, the best one out there. These are the people that are not allowed to be there. They can't be part of any of that fucking group. So they become a certain other group. And same thing with some of the girls. You know, they watch a lot of excitement happen their whole life while their brains are being wired as kids. Then they become adults and they see scary, danger, all that stuff they've watched their whole life happen. Because let's face it, a girl watching a football game, they're excited to watch these boys hit each other, you know, beat each other to a pulp, and it's competition. Who's the winner? Who's the best? Somebody's got to get beat down to a pulp.
Yeah.
And the nerdy guys are watching that too.
And it's probably making them a little envious because these girls that they pine over,
As their
So they're
brains
gonna
are being
are
wired.
not
They're going to
actually
beat
interest them.
people
They're
worse
interested
than the jocks are.
yeah. So
So now the bottom line to all this, the whole conversation, the key to this is it's in an age when your brains are being wired, when you're actually starting to develop who the hell your personality is.
Yeah.
Now, if you're somebody in the back rows that can't compete with anybody else, you're going to be a little upset about that, and that's going to carry on forever. That's why, as you guys were saying, the jocks, the guys, all these people that really are in the forefront of junior high school sports or the dominant kid or the most popular kid, they're never the serial killers.
no,
It's the kid that nobody talks to.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
true.
I can't think of one who was what you would call the popular kid.
So the
in
nerds
school.
that like death metal and Dungeons and Dragons identify with Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, more than they would just a regular dude.
Oh, I think
that
so.
can fix your transmission or score a touchdown, stuff like that.
Yeah, and the girls that we talk about, the whole point of this is the girls that envy that or enjoy that.
So I have another scientific theory, like the one I made earlier.
Yeah,
I'm not going to shut up again. It was not a scientific theory.
spin your
That
wisdom.
there is nothing on Earth that makes a pussy drier than being nice and boring and normal. You will dry a woman like the Sahara.
It was a black hole.
That story. We got to get to that story.
I'm
one
not
day.
telling that story.
We can't tell it. I'm
not telling it.
No, when you're telling that story, there's going to be music to it.
Yeah, you
I'm
should
putting,
let-
I'm putting like haunting music to that.
What you need to
story.
do is just turn on a microphone, let him sit in front of it, play some music,
No,
and leave.
the Blue Yeti. You're getting the Blue Yeti, and I'm going to dim the lights down.
Yeah.
and I'm just going
That's what I called her pussy that
Yeah,
night.
the Blue Yeti. A Yeti fucked her. Something like that.
I read speaking of women and serial
undiscoverable.
killers. You want to hear a good story about a serial killer?
Sure.
One of the Hillside Stranglers. Oh, here's Stones Malone. He wants to hear this too. One of the Hillside. I think there was two. There was more than one Hillside Stranglers, or maybe I'm thinking of the. There was a pair of people. But anyways, the Hillside Strangler, Kenneth Bianchi, started getting letters from a lady outside of prison named Veronica Compton, and she became infatuated with him. She became infatuated with him. Okay, she'd visit him in prison.
Hold on. Just hold that thought, bro. Sorry.
Are we still
TV
plugged in?
almost
That's
bit it.
my fault because I came in from being outside and I forgot to shut the door all the way, which forced Lord Despot to
If
get up.
Lord Despot put his face through that TV, it'd be the funniest moment of my life.
The curved TV.
Because he almost did.
All right. So no, go on. You were saying.
Yeah, Kenneth Bianchi and Veronica Compton. So she became infatuated with him, would visit him in prison all the time. I don't know if they got married, but he basically got in her head and was able to convince her to commit a copycat murder, a copycat of one of his murders. And his plan was she would go out, she would strangle somebody just like he did. Everything was the same, and then he could be like, "Oh, see, it wasn't me. There's still somebody out there committing his murders. I'm not Hillside."
How the hell did
So he talked
convince
her
her
into
to
it.
do that?
Serial killers
Because
are,
women like serial killers.
Well, women like serial killers, and serial killers are all mostly highly intelligent,
Yes.
master
And
manipulators.
he was very, very
You have to
intelligent.
be very careful,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when dealing with somebody. It's either a sociopath or a psychopath, which is a prerequisite to being a serial killer.
Yep.
These people tend to be highly above average in terms of their IQ
Yeah.
and in manipulating people. So it's no surprise.
Well, there's more to it. So she went out and committed this murder, but she failed. It was an attempted murder. She panicked. Something
Yeah,
happened.
because she's a woman, she's going to fuck it up, right?
She
I'm gonna
tried
be-
strangling
the
another
sex-
woman.
I'm going to identify with the Kojaks of the world.
They're not even as good at killing as we are.
So she
Third
tried,
brain size of a man.
she all of a sudden had second thoughts while she was trying to kill this person. Took off, left the lady alive, and took off to another country or another state because this happened in Washington. She flew to California, and she was at the airport, and she started having like a psychotic episode and went nuts. And they were able to catch her that way. Okay, and then they found out what she did. He wasn't able to use her as the backup, and then she went to prison.
She got caught
They
because she
lost
was
contact.
emotional.
They didn't. Yeah, they didn't talk after that. She
No.
she cut off contact with him, and then while in prison, she had a guy who started writing her and became infatuated with her, and then he went to prison because he turned out to be a serial killer afterwards.
Jesus Christ.
Douglas Daniel Clark, I think his name was, and him and
But she got caught because she was emotional.
his partner was his wife, and her name was Carol Ann Bundy. No relation to Bundy, just same last name.
Just worry about what time of the
And
month
they
it
killed
was.
7 ladies by drilling through their head or something like that. And
Jesus.
so she was like the one who bridged that gap. So it was like she fell in love with a serial killer, tried to kill somebody, became almost serial killer, and then somebody else, another serial killer, fell in love with her while she was in prison. She's been released since. She's out of
Pretty
jail. now.
fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah.
she actually displayed some level of empathy, which
Yeah.
was why she botched it, which most
Yeah,
people would.
like girls, don't be a serial killer. You don't have the lack of you. You need a total lack
There's
of empathy
very
to do
few.
it right.
So
don't do it.
That Bundy
Take
chick,
Uncle
Eileen
Death in your
Wuornos.
life.
When you skin,
Don't be a serial
when you
killer.
skin people alive, you gotta not care.
Yeah. Oh, that's another name for hyperstophilia.
You're gonna help me take the
I'm having
box
trouble
on
with
the
that,
inside
even
of
though
my
I know
truck
that term.
tomorrow.
It's also called Bonnie and Clyde syndrome because it feeds off each other. Bonnie takes Clyde
Ultimately,
out,
what you're
makes her
saying
life
was mind the
exciting.
gap.
So we need to work out when someone's talking over someone who's making a point.
It's also called Bonnie and Clyde syndrome. That thing I talked about earlier.
Where you like worship the criminal.
Well, it's more than that. Even in that case, it's the guy is the criminal and he takes women out with her, and she starts becoming a criminal with him. Like she becomes part of it at the time.
Well, I remember Unsolved Mysteries did a show where they had a guy that was like a serial rapist and murderer, horrible person.
The Canadian guy.
No,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know where they're from.
Okay.
But they were. He had one like main side chick that he had raped and mistreated so horribly, but she got so fucking warped from being around so much that she was like willingly was his bait,
Yeah.
to get other chicks, so this guy could rape and
Dude,
kill.
I think that's the same exact one.
and it was horrible. It was like really terrible, and I got to work out how to do it.
that is the one I was going to bring up too, because it was a Canadian couple. He was doing it beforehand, and then he married his wife, and he warped her, and she started helping him abduct these women, drug them, rape them, and kill them. And it got so bad, the last victim they did, they kidnapped, abducted this lady, drugged her, raped her. She eventually died from her injuries, and it was her own sister.
Wow,
That's fucked up. You know what's? It's funny now that I'm thinking about it.
really
Canadians.
bad.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I was talking earlier about how I felt like, and I still feel like, part of what this like fascination with serial killers are for some of these women is the idea of like taming the beast, as it were, like getting inside their head, identifying with them. I'm going to fix him, and ultimately every time what winds up happening is the contrary.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's no, you're
They
not
never fix
manipulating
them.
this guy.
Yeah.
He ends up
going to
manipulating
manipulate
them, and
you
then they're
and bend you to his will. And I mean, you look at Charles Manson, look at any of these types.
that's
of people
what I
that
do.
they-
I'm the man. You're going to do what I want.
So it's almost an insurmountable like climb, right? You're not going to. You're taking on somebody. Like I said, most of these guys have an IQ off the charts. They're very good. They're not going to be fixed by you.
No.
They're damaged people.
I'm sitting at a
but
152 at least.
I think you know what I'm saying.
No, it's exactly. They're going to give in a little bit, let the women think, oh, yeah, I'm starting to change him. I can see the difference. And then all of a sudden,
they're reeling
nope.
you in while you think you're getting in
Yep.
close, and you're mellowing things out. You're getting inside. No, he's reeling you in. You're not
Yeah.
getting in.
You fell
he's
for the-
pulling you in.
So
fell for
I was listening to a different podcast talk about the Bundy, the Bundy tapes
Yep.
and the Bundy, all this, and I'm going to try to abstain from giving my worldview on anything on this, and I won't. But I listened to this one podcast with this super beta male type guy, and I hate using that word, but he was not gay, by the way. He was just one of these like wormy, kind of slithery. So, it's that whatever.
Grandma Worm tongue type.
Yeah.
I know why you had to put out that he's not gay because of the way you had to do his voice.
Yeah, because he had a feminine sounding voice, but he wasn't homeless. Actually, he's a YouTuber that I really like. I'm not going to say his name, but he's a pretty well known YouTuber. But he has a podcast, and I was like, dude, did you just fucking say that? You fucking worm. But anyway, he says that he's like, I never really got into Ted Bundy. His thing is like serial killers, horror films. It's like all what he's into. Okay, and I never really got into, because he covered like John Wayne Gacy, a guy that killed and raped children, and some horrible shit. And I like his podcast, and I do like this guy's YouTube content. But he said he never liked Ted Bundy because he was just. There's nothing interesting. He was just a blatant misogynist. Oh, that's why you don't like Ted Bundy, because he fucking doesn't like women. Fuck yeah, you can rape kids. That's fine. That's interesting. Oh, I can't stand people like that.
It goes right to what I was saying. And it's only that the thing is, I have to like clarify that it's a fucking joke.
At least he's not a misogynist,
dude. That is the fucking what you just said though. Like. I don't like Ted Bundy. I'd rather cover John Wayne Gacy because Ted Bundy
misogynist
was
is the only thing that's good about him.
Yeah.
You can play the identity politics game with him easier.
Yeah.
That's fucked. Look and remind me. I want to put a little bookmark here. There's something I want to get to regarding a video game called Resident Evil 2. I know this doesn't have anything to do with any of the it's something I'm going to save for later.
We're here to talk about whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
But there is one other thing that I wanted to say real quick first is we're talking about nerds and their fascination with serial killers. And I think and Kojak...
You don't kill women at Resident
Evil.
Evil
And Kojak brought up earlier, or maybe it was you, it was you, Lord Deathspit, was talking about, like, our military friends, the guys that we know that are, like, the toughest among us.
Oh, by the way, I want everyone, I'm a fucking nerd just as much as anybody. I'm not a tough guy. I got in one fight as an adult. I lost. Stone sought. I'm not a tough guy, okay?
I think most of us here could identify with the Al Bundys of the world as in, like, average Joes. Maybe Al Bundy's not the best example, but none of us are nerds, but none of us are like alpha fucking like.
I'm not the dude that
Al Bundy was a
people
superstar
down.
Football player.
Right? Yeah, 4 touchdowns, one game.
Was it 4?
4 touchdowns.
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, just for that guy to say though that what he found uninteresting about Ted Bundy is, well, he was just a misogynist.
Yeah,
like, come on, bro, fuck you.
And
this is someone I respect.
Right.
If I told you his name, you would know exactly who he was. You're like, oh yeah, I like that guy, and I like him still. But dude, come on.
Yeah, stupid.
I'm curious to find. We'll talk about it off the air, but I think I know who you're talking about. But what I was going to say is,
it's not any podcast you've been on.
Okay,
it's not one of them.
I've only been on one other podcast.
Okay. Well, those guys are cool. I'm not talking about them guys.
So, but like, if you look at it, like, nerds are always in, like, dude, I think I made a joke about this like a few months ago. Like, nerds always have a katana in their house. Always. Like, there's always some Dungeons and Dragons weird-ass fucking sword or knife or something in their fucking house, some blade, right? Now, most of these people are too weak to barely pick it up to fucking even strike a killing blow.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's something now. So stay with me here.
I'm with
Nick
you.
Swardson.
I have not left.
Remember, you guys, everybody, we all know who Nick Swardson is.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've all seen Nick Swardson's early stand-up where he talks about the difference between getting shot and the difference between getting stabbed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a great bit. It's a
so you get
bit.
shot, it's like, shot. I just got shot. But getting stabbed is something entirely different. It's the worst fucking way. Like, oh fuck, I'm getting stabbed.
Here comes again.
There's something. Where you've got your right-wing fucking, like, military fucking gun nuts, right? Yeah, man, I got an AR-15, I got this fucking MG-911 or whatever fuck guns.
Fast, efficient kill.
Right, yeah. But they're talking about, like, technical shit. It's like horsepower to them, right? That's, like, manly shit, right? Yeah. And for nerds, it's like, I got this fucking katana blade from, like, the 18th century Japan. It's fucking cold steel rolled from fucking whatever.
It's more the story behind it.
And that's fine. There's an art to it. I get that.
Yeah,
there's an art to fucking M16s as well. Yeah. But be that as it may, there's something about, like, those fucking nerds, they probably couldn't use that weapon to save their fucking life at all.
Absolutely
However, there's something with they're more interested in stabbing and casting spells and doing weird ass shit, right? That you can see that they are. I don't want to say that nerds are serial killers in the making, because that's not the case. But not all nerds are serial killers. But all serial killers were nerds.
Yeah.
Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, Richard Ramirez, Jeffrey Dahmer, the Green River Killer. You go down the fucking line. None of these guys were boxers. None of these guys were hunters. None of these guys were fucking tough guys. None of them. They're all hyper intelligent fucking weirdos that fucking were able to manipulate women or children and gut them or do whatever the fuck they wanted.
Well, the problem is, and by the way, that was a fantastic point.
Yeah,
that was good. I
like
might feature that.
I'm getting stabbed part.
I might feature that minute rant.
All right.
By the way, anyway, the people we've been pre-programmed to like everybody like you did the thing about the Covington kids and everything, and we've been pre-programmed that the good-looking kid that's that's got the smirk and got the look and got the swagger. He's what you got to look out for. Remember, like in the '80s, it was always like the Todd. Todd is gonna fucking. He's the danger. You got to watch out for Todd. No, Todd's all right. Todd is usually apolitical. He's getting pussy. He's doing his thing. Todd don't give a fuck about you, me, or anybody else. But these movies, because he stuffed a few people in lockers, he's what you got to look out for. You ain't got to worry about Todd. You got to worry about the fucking little nerd in the back that is seething with anger that he isn't in Todd's position.
The kid that got stuffed in the locker.
Yeah. That's the dude that's going to snap, okay?
You don't look for the William Zabka. You look for the Danielson.
And I want bullies to be put back online, by the way.
bully.
I want to re-uptake bullying. Because all the great things bullies have accomplished, every great fighter there's ever been, Mike Tyson, George St. Pierre, John Jones, they've all been bullied.
Right? No,
you're denying me my entertainment if you take away bullies.
I am the last person to condone bullying. Bullying is awful. It's terrible. I hate fucking bullies.
I was bullied.
I was bullied relentlessly. I was 5'7", 135 pounds, soaking wet, braces, zit face, into Metallica when everything was Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. I understand what
Maybe
it's like
you shouldn't have been a
bullied.
spaz-faced nerd, man.
But
I'm just saying.
I have to
Do you
say
have glasses, too?
that being bullied and being fucked with did something for me. I don't think I would be who I'm happy with who I am now, okay?
Same
I'm
here.
fine. All right, I made it through. I was able. It what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? If we could be cliched, and I feel pretty good now. Like it shapes character in a way. And again, I know it sounds fucked up to say that I don't condone bullying. While I credit bullying to who I am today, but it's like it's not that bullying is good, but it's that bullying helps establish a hierarchy. It helps establish a pecking order, which in society exists whether you like it or not.
Well, what is hazing? What is hazing in sports teams like wrestling teams, football teams? What do they call it? Pledging when you join a gang or a fraternity. Yeah. It's bullying. They're fucking with you to build you up.
Right.
That's the whole point.
It's nature. And when nature takes its course, now that I'm in my late 30s, you go on Facebook, you go on Twitter, you look at those guys that bullied you and beat your ass when you were a kid, and look at how they turned out.
Yeah,
and most of them turn out to be
have
fat fucking losers who ain't got a dime to their fucking name.
No, bullies all peaked at 15.
Right. They
Everybody
were the
knows
man
that.
back in high school, and they helped you become the man later.
Now they're almost always bald because they were big then. So anybody that matures early looks like shit later, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a girl or a guy. Like the girls that were all hot and they look like, but they're like the tall, gaudy girls that haven't filled out look great now.
Yeah.
But all the fucking full-figured girls that you worship back then are bigger than my ass. They're fucking big.
I do have one disclaimer about something you said about the hazing. Yes, it does to a point, but I don't see where it does strengthen you. But I don't see where people sticking stuff up your butt is going to help you become a better sports ball player.
You're just getting prepared.
You're prepared.
You're getting prepared for the IRS.
Everything else is correct.
Toughens you up.
I just don't understand the anal play that they have. With
Yeah,
this.
I think they're we shit on the nerds, and I'm going to shit on the fucking tough guys. A lot of the shit they do in nature, it's kind of homoerotic, and I think they're suppressing a little shit there. Them guys.
Yeah.
Because why is everything putting shit up people's ass and stripping people down naked and spanking their ass? There's a little bit of shit. They're like they're not dealing with who they are yet.
It reminds me of.
So I'm not going to shit on just the nerds. You jocks, you got a little something fucked up about you too that you ain't faced.
It reminds me of that Dave Chappelle bit. What was it from? He did. I think it was that bit in Oakland that he did, or was it L.A.? Whatever. It was years and years ago. But he talks about fucking like obviously Dave Chappelle does a lot of racial humor and stuff, and he had that shit like about man, I hang out with white people. You can't fall asleep around you can't pass out around white people because man, Dave fell asleep. We stuck a carrot in his ass and put shaving cream on his balls. And it's like, man, that shit will get you killed by a nigga on the streets, man. It's like, you can't fucking, it's like, I'm not going to read through the whole fucking Dave Chappelle.
I know.
You guys know what
It's
I'm
true.
talking
It's
about.
true.
But it's true. And it's exclusive to fucking preppy ass fucking white jocks.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck that is.
What the
There's
fuck?
some
Why do you stick your balls in someone other dude's face?
I'm not saying they're infallible. They're fucking weird too. Everybody's weird in their own way. That's why we're having this podcast.
No, I agree with bullying can strengthen people. It teaches you how to deal with stuff. But I never stood the hazing with the butt stuff. That's all.
Yeah, well, and here's
It's
another
not to say
thing.
that bullying is good.
And there's another caveat
No,
too.
I'm not saying bullying is good.
Bullying people who have actual problems. I'm not talking about bullying the weak people or the guys that you need to toughen up. I'm talking about bullying people who are mentally handicapped,
Special needs.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not talking about that. But when you got a normal person that's kind of a fat idiot like I was, or kind of a nerdy person, you got to build a little character. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the sadistic people that take it way too far, and the person, unfortunately, it goes to the. We know how bad it can get.
Goes to the extreme and takes
someone takes their life or something. I'm talking about a normal bully that gives you a little titty twister to slap upside the head. Those guys ain't so bad. They served a purpose. I'm telling you. And it happened to me.
I agree with you.
And it happened to me. But again, you can't, everybody's so sensitive. You can't say well, bullying's not so bad because then one girl got bullied so bad she took her life or something horrible.
Yeah.
We know the extremes. I'll give you an example of something I saw, and I've talked about this, I think, with your brother. I think I might have talked about you. There was one particular bully moment, I know I shouldn't say this, but if he'd have came in with an automatic shotgun or automatic firearm and killed all of us, I would have understood. I would have forgave him.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
All right. About 7 or 8 guys were slapping this guy in the back of the head and spitting in his hair. He had blonde curly hair, smacking him, and I didn't. Obviously, I've never been a bully, and as much as I'm joking around about condoning bullying, it always horrified me at the time. But they were smacking this guy in the head and spitting in his hair. And it just went on. We had a substitute teacher that walked off. Who knows what this guy did? But he walked off, and I'm talking about 15, 20 minutes of pure spit.
That's insane.
And just smacking him in the back of the head and spitting on him. And I'm like, dude. And I did nothing. I didn't hey, guys, come on, let up a little bit. I did nothing. If that guy would have killed all of us, he would have been justified, in my opinion. And I know you're not supposed to say that because, God forbid, there's some school shootings. That stuff didn't happen back then. And I don't condone school shootings. Don't shoot anyone.
Yeah.
Don't bully anyone either, as much as I joke. Don't do any of these things. But I'm just saying that particular case, it just went on so long.
You like it?
They were stabbing him with pencils, too.
Do you
they're
taste the
stabbing
bourbon
him in
barrel?
his back. Okay, they were taking pencils and stabbing him in his back. And I was like, dude, I think the people that did that did deserve to get shot. I really do.
Yeah, and I don't know if
because it was that bad.
if he would have had the right to bring a gun in. I know what you're saying. If he would have done it, you wouldn't have been surprised.
I'm not saying he would have.
You wouldn't have been surprised if he did it.
I'm just saying is if he would have done it, I wouldn't have condoned it. But I'm like, yeah, I get it.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was that fucking bad.
That's pretty
some
bad.
people just take shit too fucking
Well,
far.
I mean,
and life is a gray area. When I say bullying builds character, I'm not talking about sadistic shit like that. I've told, I gave an example. I used to have a guy named, his name was Fat Eddie. Fat Eddie wasn't that fat. He used to fuck with me. He'd give me titty twisters. He'd smack me in the head. Well, what I realized was, as he kind of liked me. He just didn't like that I was a quiet fucking pussy. He didn't like that. He wanted to like get me to talk. He actually kind of liked me. My bully actually seemed to actually like me. But that's my story.
So I think what's kind of interesting, we can kind of come 180 or 360. I don't know what the fuck. But we're talking about bullying. We're talking about now because we've segued now. We're talking about bullying, and I mentioned, and we've all been talking about like
Cut all this out.
how like it can build character. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. We go back
Condoning school shootings.
when we go back to serial killers.
I might have
They
to cut
were-
that out.
There's a line that has to be drawn between bullying and outward like abuse, because when we talk about the Ted Bundys of the world and all that, these people were not bullied. They were mostly molested and sexually
yeah,
abused
assaulted, yeah.
and like horribly psychologically damaged. So we do have to talk about the fact that there is a certain line that you cross that goes from your typical high school bullying where it's like, yeah, fuck you, you piece of shit, whatever,
Yeah.
to like actual physical, mental abuse and torture that, yes, to one end, it can build character, bullying, being fucked with.
Yes.
But when it crosses a certain threshold, now we're inching closer and closer and closer to irreparable psychological damage that will create a serial killer or a mass murderer, which I think mass murderer is actually more common. That's not an educated statement at all. I don't know if that's true. But to me, I can, like Columbine, the fucking, the bell tower shooters and shit like that. People going postal, people that are normal that just fucking snap, that murder a bunch of people in one sitting. That makes more sense to me than like a methodical, predator.
Well, and that I guess that to me that if somebody's doing a mass shooting, it's something they've planned.
They
plan to
planned
kill
it, but
people.
it was
a lot of serial killers don't plan their victim; they just plan the process. And a lot of the victims are victims of circumstance. They're wrong place, wrong time.
right.
So in some cases, wouldn't a mass shooter also technically be kind of a serial killer? They planned on killing people.
Well, no, there's a difference in the psychology. A mass
Because
murderer,
at least they're not a misogynist.
but a mass murder, just like a bank robber, is they plan the if you're smart about it, you plan it out, right?
Yeah.
But a mass murderer, yes, it's somebody who's seething with rage, maybe, or whatever it is. They plan their shit out. They're not dummies, but it's usually like a one-time event. Usually, like some big, and they know they're not going to make it out, right? But it's
Usually
people
almost
that
like
leading
suicide. It's like a suicide pact with
Right.
themselves.
But leading
usually.
up
Okay,
to that
that's fair.
point, they were kind of a normal, productive member of society or whatever, and they found themselves for whatever reason, whether it being laid off from their job or being bullied for one too many times, that they just fucking snapped, and now it's like, fuck you, all have to pay, right? And there are similarities, don't get me wrong, because we see a lot of like these school shooters and shit. Like these people that like these fucking like kids on Ritalin, these fucking because they're an incel, they think that women owe them something. Now they're on all these fucking over-the-counter drugs, and now they're so disenfranchised with the rest of society. They snap, they go on a fucking killing spree.
Yeah.
But a serial killer can go on and on and on for fucking years.
Yeah, whereas the shooters, the mass shooters, there's more of a temporary emotional aspect to it. They're
they
doing
haven't-
something completely just because they had an emotional outburst basically.
They have
Like
no
tantrum.
intention of covering their tracks either.
Yeah.
They usually put on YouTube, "I'm killing everyone."
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
doing it.
Yep.
They'll live stream that shit.
Yeah,
Whatever they can do
absolutely.
for more attention. And the mass shooter also wants as much attention as possible. They
That's
do.
true.
They
Whereas
want it
the
to be
serial
all over.
killer wants to keep going, so it's kind of hidden. in
And
the
that's why
shadows.
my thing was, like, when these guys do this fucking sick, sadistic shit, don't cover it. I mean, let the law enforcement deal with it, but don't do, like, the whole... then it becomes a political debate about guns, and then... or psychotropic drugs, and then you get who was this man? And it's like you're giving him everything he wanted.
Well,
You're
now
giving him
that is a whole other discussion that I find very fascinating that we could get into, but I think it would take up 3 hours of a fucking whole podcast.
maybe next week.
That maybe we should fucking put that up. But if we want to get serious, and I know that this podcast is usually about lighthearted, fun things like fucking why do chicks like serial killers, but like
Yeah, we went dark
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row. I think we're just going to go to our natural proclivity of evil.
So, but like that, it's a very interesting thing. Why these mass shootings? And I think we can do it without getting into politics. And I know that that's one thing that most of us do want to avoid is getting too political or divisive. But
Hi, Kojak.
when we talk about like,
You've been miserable for 20 straight
there's
minutes.
a fucking media.
Yeah, you are.
I am not.
I haven't even yelled at you.
I had to stop.
You're sitting here and you're like you're in pain.
A lot of it's interesting. I'm just gonna say that there's something
I
we
agree.
could say for the media's responsibility or the media's role in school shootings, mass murders, some of these things that we see on the incline in recent years,
Absolutely.
because that's a phenomenon that's basically didn't exist pre-1980, right?
No.
Like the whole going postal thing, you know.
Nope.
And
The going postal guys were the first guys to do it.
right? So, and ever since then, now I mean, a lot of people
That was
wanna-
early 90s, wasn't it?
We talk no, it was 80s, but we don't.
There's some in the 80s. The ones we remember are the 90s, like Royal Oak and stuff.
But people talk about guns, and again, I'm gonna say a couple things, and then I'm gonna let it go. But like when we talk about like the gun control debate, and I don't know where I stand on it, to be honest with you. All I do know is guns existed and just fully automatic fucking rifles and shit existed decades, right? For a long time, right? So and the ability to get them, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, hasn't like massively increased, right? Yet we see more and more of these school shootings year after year after year. Is it because gun laws are wrong, or is it because there's another component, or is it
It's
because
the media.
the media is hyper sensationalizing this shit that puts it more into the public psyche, that puts it, and then you got kids that are on psychotropic drugs that it's a bad
Bingo.
cocktail
Yeah.
of a lot of things. Part of which is guns, part of which is psychotropic drugs, part of which is the media's representation of it, part is Americana. Like there's a lot of components that go into this phenomenon of American school shootings. You know, and you can say, "Oh yeah, we in Australia we banned guns, and now this shit doesn't happen." But Australia isn't America, and you know what? I can already see this going down a fucking path, and I'm just going to fucking stop.
Let's focus on the media part because I
All right,
think
so
that's
we're
what
going
it
down
is.
this road then.
Just a little bit. I'm not going
Okay.
to get into gun control.
I
right
started.
now.
I'm sorry.
The media part of it is because you're giving these people exactly what they're craving: attention.
Yep.
The only reason
Don't
you're doing it
give
is for
them it.
attention. Like you just said a few minutes ago, you're giving them everything they want. Don't give them the attention. The more people see it on TV, it's like, well, they're getting all the attention they want. They're getting the infamy. That's what I want too. And then you have more people doing it. It's just a cycle. It's very.
And we live in an age in which attention, social media, instant gratification, instant attention is the number one sought after thing.
Which leads me to the
period.
next point. If we want more women serial killers to compete with these men, we got to get some Instagram serial killers going.
yeah.
Because women love Instagram and they love the like. So what we got to do is give the
good
violent
filters.
girls some more attention on social media, and we'll get some more female
Yes.
social media killers.
Yep.
So I'll, give me a like and I'll cut this guy's head off. Give me a like.
No, I mean, didn't we have
Like and
dude,
retweet,
I'm
donate
about
to my
get-
Patreon.
I'm about to get too political now, but
This-
hey, let me just pause right there and say, Pine, this is way too fucking much right now for me.
Okay, that's what I tried telling you, man.
This is fucking like drinking liquor
Are you
straight
drinking
out of. This
fucking
is way
David's
more than
blood
20
from
ounces
fucking-
too. By the
24.
This is not 24 ounces.
That's a bomber. Yeah, I
It
think
can't be.
Bomber's 24 ounces.
This
see it,
looks
Stones.
at least fucking like 28, 32.
Maybe it's 28, I don't know.
It looks 32 to me. This is strong shit, dude.
I told you it was strong. I said like 13%.
Yeah, no, I can't-
Stones,
I can't
pass it
handle-
over. Let me
I
see
can't
it.
handle
How's the
this.
flavor,
Frank,
though?
Or Kojak, Frank Jack, take it. Drink it.
In about fucking 3 months, we won't even be using pseudonyms anymore. We'll just be who we are.
That's why I don't drink
Do you
it.
like it, Frank? Do you like your drink?
I can't handle that shit right now. It's going to fuck me up too bad. I already know it.
Yeah.
I got shit.
I mean, you want
So-
to take it home, you can.
Oh, no. I already opened it. I'm not driving with this
Okay.
shit. I should have left it shut. I should.
It's okay. It's been sitting in my basement forever. Not forever, 4 or 5 months.
It's not bad tasting.
I got so much. I had a 4-pack of it. And I drank it, and by the last one, I'm like, I can't drink any more of this stuff ever again.
It is. That is some.
I'm gonna
serious
leg
shit.
it because you don't.
So
I'm gonna fucking drink. I'm gonna go back to my High Life.
Do it.
Which tastes like Gatorade now.
I'm still finishing up my case of Yingling.
So the average idiot that doesn't have context or humor is going to assume that I, 1, condone mass shootings, 2, want more serial killer women, 3, blame women for serial killers. We're getting kicked off. We're
I don't
gonna
think
get kicked off
anybody's going
iTunes.
to assume that of you. I wouldn't assume that of you.
Let's go over the finer points of the podcast. Number 1, Xbox Live on all platforms. Good.
Yes.
Serial killers, bad. Mass
Causing
shootings,
serial killers,
mass
good.
shootings, bad. Bullying, some of it's okay.
Debatable.
Let's say a plausible.
Like when I talked about that guy that I absolutely I hate people who hurt people, but that guy was picked on so bad. My point was,
You hurt me.
if he harmed all of us,
you would not be shocked.
I would not be shocked, nor would I even be mad at him. I would understand. Because
Well, if he shot me and I didn't do anything, I'd be pissed. But
because it was pretty bad, and that goes to my point. There's a level, there's a threshold, there's a difference between what happened to him or Fat Eddie twisting my titties and just fucking with me a little bit. You know what I mean? There's a difference.
yeah,
Pine, this is awful.
that's why I didn't drink it. Yeah,
You don't like it? Frank doesn't like really
you know
strong
what?
beers.
I like the flavor.
You don't like
I didn't
anything.
like the first
He likes
sip,
3
like
things.
instant.
I would
heartburn.
love that if I was at home alone. Like if I hadn't already started drinking these, that would be a nice.
You're
knock me
describing
out.
my life, and I still don't like it.
It's
Yeah,
aged in
well,
bourbon barrels.
Yeah,
That's what gives
no,
it that
I
flavor.
mean it's good. It's just I can already tell
To be
that's going
honest-
to put me under, and I can't afford to be put under.
To be fair,
Dude, I like that.
to be fair,
It's a completely different subject now. I watched
It's-
that episode
it's
where he first said
tasteable.
that, and I was like, "Fucking shit." Frank says that shit all the time.
What to be fair?
to be
Yeah.
fair.
What are you talking about?
You
What
watch
show?
Letterkenny?
Who?
Letterkenny?
I don't know what the fuck you're
It's
talking
on
about.
Hulu.
Oh
Do
fuck,
you
he's
have
got to
Hulu?
learn it.
No.
Stones, you got to learn Letterkenny.
It's a show on.
a
Hulu.
badass
It's a Canadian
show.
show.
Your niche bullshit.
Dude, I'm not. It's
So you've heard of Trailer Park Boys?
I mean, I've heard of it. I've watched a few episodes.
It's a
yeah.
Canadian show, kind of like that, but it's set in a farming
Fucking
town.
amateurs,
Dude,
But it's what?
it's hilarious.
it's way better. Letterkenny.
If you like dry humor and stuff, yeah,
So by the way, guys,
Go to
this episode that we're recording right now,
yeah.
because I have 47 minutes worth of upload time until 3 days, so which was like Monday or Tuesday. This is going to release Monday or Tuesday. So the thing that I'm going to release tomorrow is going to be Deathry's full
The
phone
rebuttal?
call. The rebuttal.
Okay.
And Deathry tears Morgan's ass up.
That's awesome.
Well, can you
And then
get
Morgan's
more
going to
both
have
on here?
Morgan's going to have to come strong the next time.
Good.
I really was intrigued by that first minute that you shared.
Yeah,
earlier.
like he
It was hilarious.
he's like sick of him, and he's had it.
I've had it with you, Morgan.
But so they're to the
gonna kill you.
to-
I am done with you.
You can make fun of his voice all you want.
I didn't.
But he
he
was-
was bringing it.
No,
he
I-
brought
that's
it.
good.
Let me just say
I'm
this:
making fun of his voice. I'm on board.
he sounds like a grown ass man now to me. Like I don't that high. Whatever. He didn't sound
of-
like that high.
We might be embellishing a
you
little
know.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit.
No,
Kind of
he
a lot.
sounded normal to me. If I didn't know the guy, he sounds like his balls dropped finally. So
But those two, there's going to be Morgoth. They're planning it because they when I had when Morgoth called him a pedophile and all that.
Yeah.
Morgan said he texted me I got a bunch of texts that day that I released that podcast. Like, you motherfucker, and they were arguing like, for real, not in character, for real.
oh no, there is no character.
And then, like, this isn't like how when I yell at Frank and I kind of embellish a little for fun. No, they're really fucking mad at each other. And so he was
Who's
spitting,
Frank?
He was spitting. he was spitting mad, and it fucking went.
And let's
And
clarify
then-
something
And
real
then
quick.
anyway, one's going to drive up from Kentucky, and one's going to fly from Las Vegas, and they want to have it out here. And I'm not even going to
Yeah.
have a mic. I'm just going to give them the mics, and I'm going to feed them alcohol.
It's going to be.
Are we
a-
going to really do that?
Yeah,
They're,
it's,
they're, one's Jeff is gonna drive up. Morgan's flying in, and they're that mad at each other.
So what's Jeff
And it's
going-
not. It's not. It's not a
Stones?
shtick. It's not fun.
I know.
They're mad at each
I
other.
know.
for
Stones,
real.
it's going to be a sweaty titty, large dick flopping time.
I know.
You need
Shit's
that
gonna be
video. You need
smacking
that video
everywhere.
capability by
Death.
then.
Is this? What does he go by? Death Cry? Is that what?
Death
Death Jeffrey.
Deathry. And Morgan.
Morgoth.
We do cover.
Morgoth.
It's not Morgoth.
It's Morgoroth.
Morgoth, like Gorgoroth,
Whatever.
the death metal, black metal band.
Yeah.
Here, I'll tell you the
Nerd
he's
flirts.
going. He's going by one of the J.R. Tolkien similar. What's similar? I can't even say
Silmarillion.
it. I can't say it.
Fuck you.
Silmarillion.
Fuck you. I've drank.
Okay, there.
Silmarillion.
He's going by that book that I can't
Oh, okay.
say.
Thank God somebody
and
read
we're
it.
going by.
Thank you, Pine.
And me and Morgoroth went and saw a bunch of
Dicks.
black metal bands.
Penises.
And I told him about when
theater.
we came back home. I said there's this band called Gorgoroth, and that's why I came up with that name.
Wasn't that where Jesus died? Was Gorgoroth? No, it's Golgotha.
But the singer of Gorgoroth, he tortured a guy for like a couple.
So-
of
Yeah, he
Silmarillion.
bled him out
What?
and drank his
Fuck yeah.
blood and shit. He's a gay guy, and he's like black metal, which is very controversial because most of the people in like the hardcore black metal scene are very anti.
They're fascist.
Semitic.
They're fascist.
Yeah,
that a
they're a
scene?
right-wing fascist as far as you can go. They hate gay people. They hate Jews. They hate fucking. They murder people. and
Why
stuff,
don't you stop judging people, Stones?
No, I'm not
So wait,
judging them.
he
I still
bled
like their
somebody
tunes. I will listen to Burzum till the day I fucking
I think-
die.
I-
I don't care that he murdered a guy. I mean, I do, but
No, you don't.
Well, the thing about Varg, and I read the story, and I've watched Varg's YouTube channel, and I've watched many videos, and I put it all together. I'm like, you killed Euronymous over a record deal. You are fucking the Nordic version of Death Row. You
say
killed
the name.
somebody over a fucking record deal.
Yep.
I want to
Varg.
hear the name
Shut
of the guy
fuck-
that he killed again.
Euronymous.
Euronymous.
This sounds like a Dungeon and Dragons.
Euronymous
No,
was
no,
a
they're
little
there. No.
fucking-
Oh,
I
you
wanna-
said- You're right because
I just want to hear the names
Listen,
of
you're-
who killed who. Say the names.
Varg killed
Vikernes.
Euronymous. And Euronymous, and yes, Varg invented a game because he's such a fucking fan of Dungeons and Dragons. He made his own Dungeons and Dragons game. I'll buy it. and we'll
Called
play it.
It's called Mithrog.
Well, how the fuck are we not talking about this?
Well,
this is
We're
amazing.
talking about it now.
But we
He's
should have
a
been
fu-
talking
Varg-
about this for
Varg's
hours.
a complete white nationalist. Total
You ever
right
watch Parks
wing.
He
and
was
Rec?
shooting out McDonald's fucking signs when he was like 12 years old with rifles and shit.
This is an amazing conversation.
And
in
he burned out
Norway.
churches and shit.
Yeah,
he,
he
totally
was the
hates-
guy. He was in prison for burning churches, and then he tried to escape. They found an arsenal on him of like M16s and fucking all this shit. He lives in France on a fucking rural plot with
So,
his
like,
wife.
Vargas killed
With his
Euronymous.
fucking and his
They
wife.
shit in a bucket and fucking clean it in a river.
Stones, it sounds like some Greek mythology.
It's
No,
modern day
no.
reality.
No, he is a total Dungeons and Dragons dork that did it. He took it all the way.
Yeah, and so let's come full circle here. I was talking for a moment about how the nerds have katanas and aren't fucking real killers, and like
I think you were outside for that.
and now we have arrived
Mark
at
did it.
the hybrid
it.
of like masculinity plus fucking nerd, which is Varg Vikernes, who fucking stabbed a guy for like 65 fucking times
Over a
for cutting
record
bad
deal.
record
I
deal.
don't care what he says.
And
Well,
fucking and it
level
was
2.
you know
Fucking
and
death
as bad
row
it is
Bergen.
has an arsenal. Fucking has been to prison multiple times, burned churches and shit, and he's a fucking dork. Like
Wow.
He's a total
Listen,
dork.
he don't seem like a dork to me. He burned churches
sounds
to the
cool,
ground. He
man.
burned churches to the ground and killed Euronymous. What the fuck's his name?
Well, I'll tell you, your political views are lined up right with him. I'll tell you that.
My political
Oh,
views?
yeah. If I played a
Uh-oh.
video like,
Politics
I
talk.
love this guy, that'll be
yep,
you. I'm
yeah.
telling you. If I play one video by him, you'll love him. And then you're gonna buy his fucking
my
game.
favorite
You're
video,
gonna buy
I
his
have
game.
to say, I'm going to shout you
He's gonna
all
buy his
down.
game.
I'm going to shout you all down right now and say my favorite video. If you look it up, go to YouTube, go to I forget what something perspective.
Fuck you, you can
Thulian
make it up
Perspective.
now. We're
Thalian,
just doing
is it?
pretend
Thulian-
names.
Thulian Perspective. He did a video where it's like, many people say that in Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games or in video games that when you swim with armor, it shouldn't be the case. You can't swim with armor. You should lose HP over it.
He's got a
Well, I
point.
decided to put myself to the test. And he fucking puts on a goddamn suit of chainmail and armor and tries to swim through a lake in Norway and tests like how much stamina he loses
sink?
in real
I
life.
fucking love this
He made
guy.
it
Who
with-
is he?
Carrying a shield and a sword, and you know the golden
What?
one, right? He,
I know the golden
he
one.
He said
Another
he-
guy, another. This guy again,
Norway?
but he's a dork that also put on 50 pounds of fucking muscle.
But the first thing he said at the beginning of the video is the golden one won't do this because he will not take a video without where he has to cover his biceps up or like you know what I mean.
Fine.
So because he's a bodybuilder.
Me, him, and Techno Viking are
they hate
having a
each other
dance
now,
off.
and they always go back and forth. But whatever.
That's it. Me, him, and Techno Viking are having a dance off.
Well, Techno
This guy
Viking
sounds
is,
amazing.
nothing compared to Varg Vikernes in terms of
Varg,
like,
Varg and Golden One are two nerds that made it all the way.
If I get to hang out
They
with
made
these
it all
two,
the way.
If I get to hang out with these two, let's complete.
I will say this:
you'll like
Varg
both of,
Vikernes.
you'll like both of them. I know you. I know your personality. You'll like both of them.
You're still
Varg
drinking
You'll
that
be
is
way
a
into
piece
it.
of shit human being. However, my thing is, I do find it interesting. He's not a dummy. He has a lot of interesting things to say about paganism and religion and all kinds of stuff. And I love Burzum. I love his music.
Oh,
He's
dude.
a phenomenal songwriter.
That's the thing, and I told you that one day. I told you and
Jason.
I said, dude, I watch his videos just for the worldview insight, just to get a grasp of who he was. I probably watched 100 of this guy's videos.
Wow.
And I knew
Why are you
and I
grasping
knew
them?
about Mayhem and all the death metal mafia, and they tried to blow up Glenn Benton from Deicide because he was an American, and I knew all this shit about this crazy shit. By the way, Deicide would beat the fuck out of any of them.
Oh,
Hey,
dude,
hey,
Glenn
hey,
Benton
look,
would beat the
hey.
shit out of fucking.
I'm sorry.
like,
I'm
all
sorry.
those
I'm
guys.
sorry. You like nerds that like Glenn Benton and Deicide would kick your fucking ass. They're a biker gang that plays death metal.
So what
They'll
you're saying
kill you.
is I should follow
Okay.
more psychopaths.
You-
that
but,
you guys follow.
but anyway,
I was trying to stay in the norm, but
anyway, so I followed all this shit and I listened for years to all this, and I never listened to Burzum's music. Nothing Varg ever made because I didn't like black metal in general. Like I didn't listen to a lot of it. But then I listened to Burzum, and one night I'm like, okay, let's see what Varg has. I got to see what this guy can do. And I fucking shit myself. I'm like, this is the best music I've heard in my fucking life.
Some of it is.
He is a great musician.
what are you two doing in your spare time?
Right there. I'm sitting on this computer. I'm sorry I don't have fucking friends.
Let's
come
end this
over.
podcast so we can
You're
just
my
like
only
crank
friend,
some Burzum.
okay?
and
Why
talk
are you
about
yelling at me again?
You're my friend. These are my family. The only reason you're here is that. I'm not yelling. I'm just telling you. That is true.
I'm his only friend, and he screams at me. He wants to stab me right now with an empty
I want
beer
to stab
can.
you every minute of every day.
And I'm your
But
only
I
friend
don't.
outside of your family.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry I don't have all your friends.
I don't have any
that are real
friends.
great life. I don't have any of
I
them.
hate all them 500 people that come over every day to hang out with me.
Yeah, I'm not cool like you.
I
Just
hate
a
all
block
them
party.
15 girls that come over
my point-
every week.
My point was
It's a block
Burzum's
party
music
every day at
Burzum's
Kojak's
music
house.
Varg is a great musician. He's batshit crazy, but he makes great music.
I ain't never heard of him.
Well, you're going to hear of him when this
How
is
come
over.
you ain't playing it at my house?
I don't know. You're Norwegian. You're the only person here.
I
that-
know. I'm actually Norwegian, but I don't
Yeah,
kill people.
You're the only.
Yet.
You're
In
the only
public.
Nordic person I know, and you would probably like this guy.
I'm the only guy that doesn't kill people that you guys know about because that's why.
You guys have iPhones, right?
Yeah, I do.
Did you guys get that bug that was on it?
No, I didn't get. What's
No.
the bug do?
No.
Do you guys use FaceTime at all?
Listen,
Waste
Pine.
FaceTime?
Yeah, I do, but I don't use it a lot.
It was a
Once a month,
glitch
maybe.
where FaceTime, if you called somebody and then during the call you added another person, but you added that same person to the phone call or yourself as the third caller, you could start hearing their audio and seeing their video even if they didn't
Holy
pick up the
fuck,
phone call.
that is way more people than I know.
So basically, you call somebody, and while the phone's ringing, you add yourself as a third caller, and all of a sudden you can get the audio and video from their phone, before they ever picked up. And if they didn't pick up, you could just watch them, even if if they didn't answer
What do
the
you
phone when
mean,
you called.
Pine? Can we watch them?
Were you watching me jerk off earlier?
So, like, let's say
Yeah.
Frank, let's say Kojak called you, and then while he was ringing, he added himself as the third caller. He could start watching your video and listening to your audio, even if you didn't bother picking up.
Okay.
Shit, that's bad.
Background
Wait a minute.
music.
I know a couple
So
girls.
this was
We're doing three-ways tonight.
bug
Was
they
that
had
Varg?
Three-way calls.
on the iPhone,
I could put Varg through here.
and
Clean.
a 14-year-old found the problem with the code. And
Fine,
they-
you're making it weird.
he found the problem
Fine,
with
you're
the
making
code,
it weird.
and they have a bounty program. So this kid's getting a bunch of money from Apple for finding this.
I'm sorry. I'm totally fucking disrupting. I'm totally disrupting Pine.
Was
No,
that
no,
Varg?
no. It's cool
I'm
if you
being a drunken
interrupt.
asshole, because Pine let me have 2 sips of that.
What do I got to sit
No, it's
next
totally
to every
cool if
week?
you do that.
I got to sit next to this every week. And I was trying to tell
Every
him,
week? Every week? For like 15 years.
I was.
You're lucky I'm giving
You're
you
the.
that.
My point was, you're the only
Does that turn
Norwegian
off?
person here.
I hope not.
And you're DNA brethren.
Because I don't listen to murderous
by the way,
metal.
according,
Excuse me.
According to Varg, you're the only one here that's white. I'm not white.
I'm pure. I'm,
well, because
I'm
you're
Norwegian.
Norwegian.
I'm
not white
Norwegian.
because Varg doesn't qualify anybody other than
so you
Nords. as
fucking
well. That's not
amateurs.
true.
I'm just saying that my whiteness does not allow me to listen to murderous.
It also doesn't allow you to go out in the sun that often.
No, I hate some. Oh my god, you should see me.
I
cried.
wonder who's the most European motherfucker here.
Probably him.
Oh yeah,
Me. Clearly me.
his brother just did the DNA thing, and it's like
Yeah.
I had
it's,
two
it's
brothers.
all white.
I'm curious.
Oh, it's so much
So
European.
close. They were so
No.
close. He almost hit.
As
on
far
the
as
same-
I know, I am only not that it should matter. I am Belgian.
Oh, it matters.
Scottish, Irish, and Dutch.
Well, depending on what brother you ask, I'm 95% Norwegian or like 50%
I want to do my
Irish.
23andMe. I want to try that shit.
Depends who my mom fucked. I'm not sure yet.
I didn't want to say it.
Good thing
But I
Ma's
saw
not.
that-
Good thing's
So
Ma not
basically,
Ma
all of
doesn't
Great
listen to
Britain
this podcast.
and then Germany and stuff.
Yeah, I
Most of
don't
it's,
know.
yeah, we're all.
So at least I'm like 50% Irish and 50% Norwegian. So I'm like as whiskey drunk white as they come.
Yeah,
I
I'm all Great Britain and then Germany,
The-
and that's it.
Well, the thing is with me is like my last name came over on the Mayflower, so they literally there's not many people with my last name.
And it's the best last name that I know of.
But and they came over on the Mayflower, and the issue is, unfortunately, there are black folks with my last name,
namely Dave.
That is unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
which clearly indicates an issue. And if we get around to the reparations issue, this 55-inch TV's gone. It's all gone.
How
Nice
does a
TV.
black guy ever have the name of Justice?
Why would you say my name, you fucking idiot?
We all just
Fucking-
avoided it.
You fucking moron.
You guys have been saying.
Why would you say
We
my
haven't said
fucking
last
name?
names at
None of
all.
us said it once. You're the only one.
That's why I put it over here.
No, grab the mic. Get my social security number. Say my social security number.
What's your,
586-92.
Yeah.
what's your bank account number? Routing number?
You got my
and everything?
routing number on here? I don't care. I'm not even mad at you. I expect it. I'm not. You know, I'm never going to yell at you anymore. I'm just going to expect it. I'm going to expect you to ruin my life.
Yeah.
That's what you do. That's just what you're going to do. You can't help yourself. You cannot help yourself but fuck up my fucking life.
I have to say,
Yeah.
I feel like this is the best podcast that we've done thus far. I really do.
Yeah, it's pretty informative.
So I have to beep out one fucking thing. My last fucking.
You're gonna cut this last. You're gonna have to cut out this last bit here.
just a few seconds.
Grab the mic. Grab the fucking mic. Why ain't you?
I've already had enough of Mike tonight.
Yeah.
I don't get
Wait,
that.
just because they yell at you don't mean throw your mic away.
I gotta put it down for a minute.
Oh my god. You're gonna give me a heart attack. You're gonna give me a heart attack.
I hope you do.
The best thing that can happen to me is I get banned from iTunes to save me from you.
I only have one beer left.
You want another Yingling?
No, this is fine. I have a.
No, not that.
You heavy metal that first. No.
I have a.
We got to get more beer, by the way, or something.
All right.
I do have to do some.
Who's going to go and get you more beer? Master fucking Mike.
Yeah. Well, say my full last
Master
name.
on the mic.
But I got my fucking. I have my license number. I can give you that.
You just gave her entire DNA.
I will say that, well, Kojak, because I'm going to go that extra mile and pretend to not say Frank. He gave I'm married to Deathspit's sister, and we are not necessarily a liberal couple, but I didn't want her changing her name to mine because that last name is so fucking cool.
Yeah,
I have to say that.
you should have taken her.
My
last name.
my last name kind of sucks.
Don't do that.
I didn't want her to be Kate DePlank.
Please don't do it.
And I'll say my last name because I'm not worried about hiding my identity because I have nothing to.
I'm worried about having to pay reparations. I'm worried about. I'm just gonna give it all.
My thing is, the thing that sucks about me, my real name is Matt DePlank. And a lot of people are like, like Matt LeBlanc?
I got
Shut up.
We're gonna have an episode where I'm so annoying that you yell at me. How about that?
I was trying to be quiet. Ass.
Hey.
I say one goddamn thing.
My name's Frank Chili.
You should end a podcast now.
I don't care.
Yeah, I think this is about it, right? Are we done?
Yeah.
I think this
My
is
name's
about we should have probably ended it like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, that'd been better.
No. Radio Underground. Check us out.